Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service. We are the only show in the entire area that talks about business expansion, real estate, construction, really anything related to Omaha becoming bigger, more vibrant, and more prosperous. I am proud to say that our sponsors for this show are Cheer Athletics, the nation's foremost all-star cheer gym with a location near Highway 50 and 370 in Papillion, and Dingman's Collision Center, taking care of your automobile with 4 metro area locations. And now, without any further ado, it's time to bring on my co-host, a legendary real estate deal-making broker and all-around Omaha real estate expert, Trenton Magid.
And I'm just a nice guy, I hope.
Most days, I would say you're pretty darn nice.
Good morning,
guy.
ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Joe.
Well, good morning to you, and I've got good news today.
Let's hear it.
We've got a restaurant review, part of our Grow Omaha Eats series with Sarah Baker Hansen. And this week, Sarah looked at the Salty Dog. And this is a sports bar in Council Bluffs that is in the process of opening a second location near 72nd and I-80 in Omaha. But as you recall, if you've been listening to us for the last few weeks, Sarah has been in her annual bracket. She does this each year around March Madness time, and she's done a burger bracket before. Well, this year was the wings bracket, and so she's reviewed several restaurants that have good wings or are known for wings, and this one was the Salty Dog. And when she first describes them, I'm going to be honest with you, it didn't sound all that good to me because she described them as crispy dry wings. I'm like, I don't know, but then
you have to dip them in water.
Rehydrate them. But no, she goes in and as she explains it, I'm like, oh my gosh, those do sound really good. And so I need to get over to Council Bluffs and try this Salty Dog because these wings sound really, really good. So if you want to read that review or any of the other Grow Omaha Eats restaurant reviews we have, just go to growomaha.com and on the navigation bar, click on Eats, E-A-T-S, Eats, right there at the top of the page. All right, shall we go to the news?
Yeah, but I want to talk a little bit about inspirations that you've had lately, and we've talked about, we're not going to get into detail right now, ladies and gentlemen, but we're upping our game here at Grow Omaha Media.
You know, I'm glad you said that, Trenton, because we are preparing some new features that will be coming to Grow Omaha, and with a lot more content, a lot more news, and our city doesn't disappoint because there is so much news that we don't have the space to cover on this radio show and in our newsletter. So we're up in our game, like you say, details to come.
And over 20 years ago when we started this, we thought there was a big void in economic development news in Omaha. And we said, okay, we're going to do this radio show. And we didn't really know what we were doing, and hopefully we do now. But
some might argue, but I think we generally do.
At least one of us. And so what's interesting is that it's just grown on itself as far as people have contributed from all over. They ask us questions, they bring us information, and we are going to transform our growomaha.com website.
Yeah, so folks, stay tuned. Big things are coming. A lot more news coverage and some cool new features. And in the coming weeks, we will be able to talk about that in detail. But really exciting for all of us who love what's happening in the city and love keeping up with it and are proud of all the things we're doing here in Omaha. There's a lot more to come.
Let's just say there'll be reason to come to growomaha.com frequently, and we'll have some new contributors as well. We'll announce at a later date.
Well, with that, let's go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompanY.com. You can find them in person at 114th and Davenport, just south of West Dodge Road. But Holly Schneiderwind and her team of experts at Eagle Mortgage do such a great job of taking care of borrowers. You know, of course, buying a house is one of the biggest purchases you'll ever make, and you want to make sure you do it right. And for a lot of people, it's pretty darn stressful when you're doing the home thing, especially when you're figuring out how are we going to pay for this. Just sit down with Holly and her team and they'll go through it. They are not beholden to any one lender, so they can shop the market and match the best financing solution for you in your unique circumstances. And we always say, get that pre-approval letter from Eagle Mortgage, because many of these home buying situations, even today with these a little bit higher interest rates than we used to have and all that, are still competitive. Even with the higher interest rates, it's still competitive. Holly and her team will give you a leg up if you're competing with someone else for the house of your dreams. EagleMortgageCompany.com. Okay, on the news docket, we begin downtown. A few weeks ago, we told you about the Duo. That is the $163 million renovation that New Style Development is going to do on the Twin Towers. Central Park Plaza Twin Towers, 15th Street between Douglas and Farnham downtown. And the demolition inside, and not going to tear down the buildings, just demoing some space inside the towers has begun. There's also some fencing up around the southwest corner of the property for what you old-timers like me would remember as the Park Fair Mall. Currently, most recently, has been an indoor parking garage. There's some fencing around that, some work in there. It looks like this project is going to go fast. This is a fast-track project.
If it's a Todd Heastand and Mary Heastand New Style Development project, these are the people that brought to you Old Market Lost, which was those three like movie set-looking buildings in the Old Market, Tip Top, The Wire. Let's see what else. The
St. Joe Hospital.
St. Joe. I mean, that's the Landing, and plenty more. And they know what they're doing, and they're smooth, and they're great people.
Anyone who can turn a hospital into 730 apartments is a pretty talented renovation and repurposing developer.
And figure out that they can put a bridge over the highway.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see a couple years from now, probably about 2.5 years? No, probably about 3 years from now, I would think, when that project is completely done. And remember, the west side of that project, where the old Park Fair Mall stands, that's coming down and will be replaced with a city-owned parking garage with 150 of New Style apartments on top of that. So there's going to be some pretty substantial construction with that project, but it appears, by all indications, to be well underway.
So everybody should go and eat at Untamed Kitchen. You get right on that corner of 15th and Farnham, and you can watch the workers building the new Mutual of Omaha Tower and the renovation of the Duo apartments.
You know, that is my kind of lunch. There's nothing better for a construction nerd like me than to be able to sit there at lunch while watching two major construction projects across the street.
Untamed Kitchen. You sit there, you eat healthily, you eat some great food, and then what you do is you see what's happening in our fair city.
Well, we now go to 72nd and Dodge Street. On the southeast corner, the former Fuddruckers restaurant has been vacant for some time. And we now know that Mega Saver will be converting that property into a gas station convenience store. Trenton, how are they going to make that work out logistically?
So it's interesting. And I actually sold them the southeast corner of 84th and Center Street, and they did everything they said they were going to do. They converted the building. It was old Dippy Donuts, if you remember when we were kids.
Oh, yeah.
And there was Aiken's health food store. They figured out how to make a drive-through there and everything else. Put a lot of money into it. It's a busy store.
That's 84th and Center.
That's 84th and Center. But this center, which has Fuddruckers, U.S. Cellular, and some other ones, they've owned it for quite a while. The zoning matches what they're going to do. They've made application to the city, and they're going to build it, and they'll take part of the building and use it for a Mega Saver, and then put in the pumps and everything else, and then they'll have other retailers.
Okay, so all indications are they won't tear down that Fuddruckers building. They'll do what they did at 84th and Center.
Right, and they did the same thing with Pizza Hut on 90th and Fort. I wasn't involved in this project. It just every once in a while I talk to the owners of Mega Saver, and they're big fans of our newsletter, so I get a call every once in a while when they see Amico on there, and they're jealous that Anderson Amico.
Yeah. Anderson Convenience Market, which has the Amico brand, they sponsor the restaurant and retail section of our newsletter. And so that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. I love me some Ray Anderson.
We all do. We all love Ray Anderson. He's a great guy. Well, I like to say that I'm a construction nerd and a Gromaha, kind of a Gromaha economic development construction type. I guess I'm another kind of nerd too. But there is another kind of nerd out there.
For.
Thank you. There's another kind of nerd out there that's been really excited this week, and those are Lego nerds. There are going to be people lining up at Nebraska Crossing later this summer because the long-anticipated and desired Lego store is finally coming to Omaha. It is going to be in a space just a little bit east of Vineyard Vines at Nebraska Crossing. Construction on the interior build-out is already underway. It's going to be a little over 2,000 square feet in that space. The store will offer more than 500 Lego sets. The official opening date will be announced early this summer. We anticipate it will be late this summer. So this year, Lego fans, you will finally be able to go have shop until your heart's content.
It's interesting. Every time I think about Legos, and I had Legos as a kid, but I think about parents with bare feet stepping on Legos on the carpet.
Been there. My kids went through the Lego phase, and I think I still have a couple scars on the bottom of my feet to
There's
prove
some
it.
pretty cool traveling exhibits. There's one guy that just lives Lego. There's a lot of people that just live Legos, but and I'm sure they have displays at the stores and everything else in Disney World. But saw a really cool exhibit about a month and a half ago down in Miami, and pretty meaningful stuff. And however they count the number of Legos and everything else, they got the count. They keep the statistics. It's pretty impressive.
Well, shifting gears to the Creighton University campus, Kiewit Hall, a 9-story residence hall building that was constructed in the 60s, 58 years ago, is about ready to come
Full
down.
useful life.
Yeah, and I'm kind of a little bit sad about this for a couple of reasons. By the way, if you're wondering what Kiewit Hall is, there's a couple of substantial residence hall buildings on the south side of kind of the southeast quadrant of the Creighton campus, right along the north side of Interstate 480. Kiewit Hall is one of them. It is the further west of the two big ones. And like I said, it is coming down. And I'm a little bit sad about that because, for one, I think it kind of looks cool when you're coming around the 480 curve and it's just kind of a big presence right there alongside of the road. Second, when I was in high school, I spent a week there at a camp.
By choice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course it was by choice.
I didn't know if you were admitted or...
No. You know how colleges always have those camps for high school kids where,
Yeah.
It could be like football camp. That was not why I was there.
Yeah, mine was FBLA at Holiday Inn Central.
How'd you do?
I think there were some testing, but there's some good parties, and those girls from the small towns, we kind of chased them a little bit.
Okay, we might want to change the subject back to Creighton University's Kiewit Hall, but
remember the Creighton banner, the sign, the backlit sign?
Oh yeah,
that huge.
That's
Creighton.
true. That's not there anymore, is it?
I don't think it is.
Yeah, it was like the letters were like
huge,
like bigger than life letters. Yeah. So at any rate, it's going to come down next month, and I don't know whether they're going to bring it down old-fashioned way with a wrecking ball, or if they're going to implode it. My guess is they'll just take it down with a wrecking ball because it's only 9 stories. But the little bit of a landmark there. Why are they doing this? Don't know, but Creighton has been very active in remaking its campus. And the other thing is that old style of high-rise residence hall living where you had 2 people crammed in a tiny traditional dorm room has really fallen out of favor in America's campus. Kids these days, they're used to having like a lot of space in their own room, and
kitchens.
Apparently they don't like those old-fashioned dorms. So another piece of news we have for you will be pretty interesting. Omaha company that is growing very, very quickly and has a big brand is Scooters Coffee.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
yes.
Headquartered here in Omaha. Their headquarters in the Miracle Hills area. And the World Herald had an interesting article this week. And at any rate, the article talks about Yelp, the online review site, coming up with a list of fastest growing brands, and they divide it by areas of the country. And Scooters is the second fastest growing brand, according to Yelp, in the United States. It's the fastest growing brand in the Midwest, second fastest in the Western region, third fastest in the South region. It's also the fastest growing brand in Texas.
Wait, of just the coffee segment or of all segments?
Of all segments. So to kind of give you an idea, the fastest growing brand in the West, which is the mountain states out to the Pacific coast, is Levi Strauss & Company. And then the second fastest growing is Scooters, followed by Crispy Crunchy Chicken. Number 4, the Habit Burger Grill, and number 5, Mod Pizza. In the Midwest, it is number 1, Scooters, number 2, Bojangles, number 3, Rally House, number 4, Olive Garden, and number 5, Culver's. In the South, and we're not going to say the East because Scooters doesn't place in the East, but in the South, it's Raising Cane's, Cava, Scooters Coffee, Rally House, and the Habit Burger Grill.
It's interesting. Some of these are retro, Bojangles, and some of these brands are just like coming back and having a resurgence, or there's too much equity money out there or something like that.
That could be. We don't have Bojangles in Omaha, but I think we did in the past, if I remember correctly.
Sounds like Scooters is really a liquid business.
Kaboom. So it's growing fast, whatever it is. And I know that sometimes in my other life, I do sales training, and I do that all over the country. And the group, I probably work with commercial real estate companies more than any other industry segment. And it's interesting, you'll talk with these brokers. And I was doing one in Milwaukee not that long ago. And during the break, a couple of the brokers were talking about, what is this Scooters? Man, everywhere you go, there's Scooters expanding. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know about Scooters.
Well, you see some, like on the interstate going to Lincoln, you see a bit industrial building. Looks like they do some roasting and stuff like that, but they have huge warehouse along the interstate, and they have Scooters' footprint in Omaha, not just the however many dozens of stores they have here, but their back end and their supply for their whole chain is significant.
And with that, folks, we wrap up your news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, EagleMortgageCompany.com. We're going to take our first break of the hour. And when we come back, we're going to go through some of the urban construction projects that are going on in the city, kind of give you a little bit of an update on those. It'll be kind of fun just to catch up with what's happening. So you are listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid at your service. Grow Omaha is brought to you by Cheer Athletics, along with Dingman's Collision Center. Dingman's will take care of your car's bumps, bruises, and scrapes, or even something pretty major. But if you are, in an accident, or even if you just get door dinged or whatever, or that obnoxious, hateful person keys your car, whatever the case may be, they take care of it, and they do a really good job of it. And you can choose from one of 4 locations: Northwest Omaha, Papillion, Saddle Creek, and also 144th and Industrial Road.
And soon to be more to be announced by them, but the Dingmans are wonderful people. They do an amazing job, and for better or for worse, I've used them for multiple cars, and my friends have used them, and just amazing service both on the mechanical and on the collision side. So stay posted for additional locations.
Okay, so we thought it'd be a little bit fun just to go through some of the big urban apartment projects that are under construction in Omaha lately, particularly in the urban core. And there's so many other projects as well. We talk a lot about, things like the Mutual Tower and all that, but many of the construction projects in urban Omaha are multifamily. There's a lot of people that are really coming into the center city because of the growth and entertainment options, downtown, North Downtown, Blackstone District. And then I think a lot of it is anticipation of the new streetcar. It'll be easier for urban livers to kind of get around. So wanted to bring you up to date with a few projects that are going on in that area. one of which is Leavenworth Lofts. This is Sullivan Development Company's project at 3612 Leavenworth Street, 28-unit apartment. That is 28 apartment units. That is well underway. This is the one where they'll have some of the short-term rental options available. One of the things I think is really cool about this project is how they are shoehorning it into very small space. And that, Trenton, is the sign that our urban core truly is becoming desirable when you're starting to see buildings built on very small footprints.
And I think that we've talked about this before. When 20 years ago, when we drove down Leavenworth, it was kind of like lock your doors. And now Leavenworth is hip and cool.
Oh, yeah. In fact, if you go just a little bit further east on Leavenworth from the one I just mentioned at 3001, so basically the southwest corner of 30th and Leavenworth, construction going up fast on a 78-unit, four-story apartment building there. And that whole area is becoming very, very dense right there in that Park Avenue and Leavenworth area. There's
a lot of incentives available for, if they can get tax increment financing, if they can get sometimes historic tax credits, PACE, which is energy savings and things like that. So there's incentives to buy down the costs and also the rents for urban dwellers. And that's why a lot of these are so attractive. And we need these bodies down there, not just for the workforce and create a vibrant core, but also so we can get that grocery store we keep talking about.
Grocery store is top on the list for so many different people. 37 West Farnham Street, in many ways, is one of the coolest buildings under construction in all of Omaha right now, in my opinion, because it just has this massive street presence and fills up what had been a surface parking lot in the Blackstone area. As the name would indicate, it's at 37th and Farnham, and that's immediately west of the Kimpton Cottonwood Hotel. But this is a 9-story building, and it is getting very close to topping out. And I notice when you're eastbound on Dodge and you crest the hill at 49th Street going eastbound on Dodge, and you look out over the cityscape, this 37 West Farnham building really stands out. It's kind of one of the dominant buildings that you see.
It's got a presence, and that's another city-owned parking garage, I believe.
Yes, so inside it, in that building, you'll have retail on the ground level, then several floors of city-owned parking garage, then 5 levels of privately owned apartments.
I'm starting to sense a theme with city-owned parking.
Well, and actually, as we learned recently, the city is actually making money on all these parking garages that they're building, because they upgraded to this Park Omaha system, with the app, and it's far more advanced.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's all integrated. The street parking and the parking garages are integrated. And the city went from losing money on parking to having it be more of a profit center to fund other parts of city government. I think it's a good deal.
Those bright colored boxes, when you can. It used to be more confusing with text and all this kind of stuff, but those bright colored boxes, if you have a credit card on you and it stops at 9 o'clock, and it's usually $1 or $2, whatever. It's a more affordable and easy to use. So I'm liking it.
One last urban apartment project that I want to mention before we break for the news. The Dizzy Mule is located at 12th and Izzard Street in North Downtown's Millwork Commons area. This is a project that takes pretty much a whole city block. It involves the renovation of an historic building known as I think it's the Radford or Radcliffe or something like that building. 172 apartment units, but it also includes 2 new, built from the ground up, 5-story buildings. Very, very cool project that continues to enhance the very cool Millwork Commons area.
Absolutely. And Jeff and I actually, many years ago, we sold at auction Mastercraft building, that big 100,000 plus building that's really started that whole area down there, really.
Yeah, that was the catalyst for that area, and they used that building for a lot of small companies in there, a lot of tech and kind of cutting edge companies, meeting spaces. It's a really neat urban business center, and then of course that led to the Ashton building, which is 85% occupied right now. But back in the day when Trenton and I first got that listing, and I think it was like 2001 or something like that, that was an operating, functioning furniture factory.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so not that long ago.
Needed some work, but the right people came along and turned it into not some high-tech space, but really incubator. We talk about incubators all the time, but that's kind of the precursor of that whole type of business.
Yeah, it's a good way to describe the Mastercraft building. A lot of incubation of businesses going on in there. With that, we're going to break for the news. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals sitting next to Trenton Maggot in the KFAB studio. This is Grow Omaha. It is brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center along with Cheer Athletics. Now, Cheer Athletics is the nation's #1 all-star cheer gym. There are about, maybe 12, 15 locations around the country. We really care about the Omaha location, which is located in Papillion, just southwest of Highways 50 and 370. But All-Star Cheer is a very popular competitive athletics and sports thing that kids get involved with, and it can be very competitive when you get to the elite levels and are competing nationally. But if you are interested in this for your kids or grandkids, tomorrow, Sunday, April 14th, Cheer Athletics is having an open house at 1 o'clock right there at their Papillion facility. This would be your chance to meet the owners, the coaches, get a tour. It's a beautiful place. You can learn about tumbling, stunting, or join a team. And also, the All-Star Cheer season is winding down. And by the way, Trenton Cheer Athletics is sending 6 teams to Orlando.
Holy moly.
Yep, to qualify. They've qualified for the world competition. But at any rate, tryouts for next year are going to be coming up later this month and early May. We'll have more information about that. But for now, just go to that open house tomorrow at 1 o'clock at Cheer Athletics if this might be good for your kiddo or your grand kiddo. And with that, we are going to go into our Noddle Company's commercial real estate development spotlight of the week. I've got some interesting news about a certain development that Noddle Companies might be involved in. But before that, let me tell you that Noddle Companies is probably about the most respected and best known real estate developer of all of them that's based in Omaha, because they do big time projects around the country, but here in Omaha are what we really care about the most. And in Omaha, Noddle Companies is famous for places like Exarban Village and the Builders District in North Downtown. And a lot of people know them as the company that builds amazing headquarters office buildings. I mean, just recently, within the last few years, they did the Valmont Global Headquarters in Heartwood Preserve near 144th and West Dodge Road. They did the HDR Global Headquarters in Exarban Village. But right now we're going to talk about some stuff that Noddle Companies has brewing at 180th and Burke.
Absolutely. And talking to Noddle Companies, they're heavily involved in the development of a couple of the last puzzle pieces of Village Point West, right at 180th and Burke. Everybody knows there's that Walgreens there, and there's just over 12 acres there, and there's brochures from Noddle Company, and you can call me if you need more information about it, but basically there's going to be a major car dealership, there's going to be a major car wash, and then they've got about 2.5 acres that could be perfect for like a high-end restaurant, or other type retailer, great visibility. And then they also have the last remaining corner. There's a hard corner, call it the southeast corner, 2.93 acres, right next to that daycare.
180th and Dodge.
At 180th and Dodge, and that's for sale as well. And talking to Sam Noddle, they're getting a lot of interest about it, and it's amazing how Village Point West. They just finished that last medical building out of those 3 buildings on Burke Street there as well. So it's really coming together, and we're proud of Noddle Companies.
That is your Noddle Companies Commercial Real Estate Development Report of the Week. You can learn about Noddle simply by going to noddlecompanies.com. A couple quick news items for you. University of Nebraska at Omaha is planning to rename its ice rink at Baxter Arena to the Mike Kemp Ice Rink. And this is to honor the founding coach of the UNO hockey program, who joined the program when the team was created in 1996. More recently has been an athletic department administrator and is retiring in May. Not too far from UNO, the Fairfield Inn by Marriott Hotel on the northeast corner of 72nd and Grover is opening in the coming week, April 20th, 1 week from today. And we got some transportation news in Sarpy County. The county has unveiled a proposal for 6 square miles between Capehart and Platteview Roads from 36th to 72nd Street. A lot of new improvements to the arterials in that area. That's going to be an area of concentration. Of course, it's growing fast. That's kind of that area where Bellevue starts to meet Papillion. Also in Sarpy County transportation news, that same plan is accounting for the planned $600 million Platteview Expressway, which would someday run parallel to Platteview Road from Kennedy Freeway on the east to Interstate 80 way out west in Gretna. We need it. It's in the works long term. Unfortunately, that expressway has not yet been funded. And with that, we're going to take our final break of the hour. And when we come back, we're going to have our Perkins Kreitzer lightning round, in which we're going to talk about a lot of restaurant and retail news. I'm looking at the list right now, and I'm seeing all sorts of things on it. So stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center on News Radio 1110 KFAB. All right, welcome back to the show. It is time for the Perkins Kreitzer lightning round, in which we talk about a lot of things in a short period of time. And Perkins Kreitzer Construction is well known as a general contractor here in Omaha. They also serve some of the further out areas from Omaha, like, Lincoln, Norfolk, Kearney, North Platte, Sioux City. But we have some news today for you, courtesy of Perkins Kreitzer Construction. The first item is a new Carter's and Oshkosh store going into a 4,500 square foot space in Shadow Lake Town Center in Papillion. It's going to be next to Sally Beauty Supply and Dogtopia at Shadow Lake. Perkins Kreitzer is starting construction on that Carter's and Oshkosh store this week. And that's one of many retailers that have been popping up. Shadow Lake is doing really well.
Yeah, Renaissance.
Yeah, great times for Shadow Lake right now. And Perkins Kreitzer Construction is also working on the new Barnes & Noble store there. You may recall we reported a few weeks ago that Barnes & Noble was going into the old Best Buy space. So that construction is going on right now.
It's like going from CDs back to vinyl.
I don't think books ever went out. I mean, I think, because I can remember, even when people were saying, "Oh, books are going dead," you would go to Barnes & Noble stores and there'd be tons of.
But there's just less bookstores. Let's face it.
That's true. But I tell you, if I'm reading an article, I'd rather read it online than in print. If I'm reading something long, like a book, much rather read it in print. It's more comfortable on your eyes and all that.
I'm missing a lot of stuff that is now very all tech, as opposed to just sitting down, relaxing, and reading a magazine or a book.
By the way, lease negotiations are going on for an additional tenant that would take the remainder of that Best Buy space in Shadow Lake that Barnes & Noble is not taking. So thanks to Perkins Kreitzer, PC Construction, Dave Kreitzer, and the team over there doing such a good job in making this section of the show possible for you. The Brunch Box at 1308 Jackson Street is expanding into the former Burgerim and Action Burger space on 12th Street. Kind of weird to call it Action Burger because I think it was open for like a day or something, or maybe
I think it was
2
called
days.
In Action Burger.
Yeah, but that's on the west side of the Capitol District. So, 12th and Capitol Ave there. Now, the Brunch Box does plan to keep its current Old Market location at 1308 Jackson Street open until about a year from now when their lease expires, and then they'll just be in their new Capitol District spot. Okay, got some big restaurant news this week. The former Granite City space that has been vacant, that outbuilding at Westroads Mall, is going to become K-Pot. K-Pot, Korean barbecue and hot pot. This is a chain that's out of like the New York City area, growing very rapidly, very, very
All
popular.
10,000 plus square feet.
Taking the whole thing. And I understand this restaurant has got a unique attribute that will appeal to you and me, Trenton. All you can eat.
So it's
one of those places.
So it sounds like a buffet with featuring hot pot.
Very popular.
That's where you cook your own food, isn't it?
I don't know about that, but it's very popular and people are really excited about it.
That'll be very interesting. That's a big spot for them.
Wiener Schnitzel Premium Hot Dogs will open its first Nebraska location in MH Landing, which is northeast of 72nd and Grover. Going to share a building right along 72nd Street with Salty Dog Sports Bar. Macadoodle's liquor store also really close to opening in that same area soon. Kong Dog, a popular Korean corn dog chain. There's a chain for everything,
yes,
folks.
There are.
Opened last week at Nebraska Crossing. It replaced Auntie Anne's Pretzels, which moved to the former Frank's Pizzeria space at Nebraska Crossing.
You know what's really good, too, is Hawaiian Brothers. I wasn't expecting this, but I really enjoy the teriyaki chicken, and they have those Dole Whips, and you get fresh pineapple if you ask for it. Right out there, Wick South Point off 370 and I-80. I encourage you there, but just don't go when I want to go so I can get in.
Insomnia Cookies plans to open a second Omaha store at 3863 Farnham Street in the Blackstone District. This is a commercial building which heretofore has been vacant, but this will be the first tenant in there. Interior build-out is underway. Lansky's Gretna plans to change its name to 531 Pizza and Phillies sometime early this summer. Same ownership, but they're going to serve authentic Amoroso hoagies from Philadelphia.
I'm guessing area code.
Could be. Godega Market and Coffee Bar has added sidewalk seating outside its old market shop, northeast corner of 11th and Howard Street. The Walgreens has opened on the southeast corner of 192nd and Cypress Drive in the Gretna Landing development. And we do have a closing, Trenton. We don't like to talk about closings, but the CVS Pharmacy store, 132nd and West Center Road, will close on May 14th. Customers are encouraged to use the CVS store at 142nd and U in Millard.
That's a good location.
For something new to go in there? Yeah, pretty a good area right there.
We've got about 3,500 square feet retail if anybody's looking for me and John Meyer on the northwest corner of 132nd where AAA was. So any office-type tenants or retail, bring it on.
Okay, really fast before we end here, PC's Popcorn and Cocktails plans to open this spring in what is currently Table Coffee Company in the Old Market. Table Coffee moving a couple doors to the west on Howard Street. That's it for this week. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics All-Star Chim. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.